Every time you force a manual gear lever into place, you are practically taking a sledgehammer to your transmission. It feels like a minor annoyance when a gear resists, but that stiff shifter is actually your car screaming for help. Most drivers assume a hard shift is just an old gearbox being fussy, but in reality, you might be destroying expensive internal components over an issue that could cost next to nothing to fix. When you push against that stubborn gear stick, you are actively fighting the synchronizer ring. The job of that ring is to match speeds before allowing engagement. Forcing the lever bends selector forks and shreds brass synchro teeth. Before you know it, a simple fluid top-up or a quick hydraulic bleed turns into a full transmission teardown. If you ever find yourself stuck at a red light unable to get into first or reverse, stop shoving the lever. Put the shifter in neutral. Let the clutch pedal out for a split second and press it back down. This spins the input shaft just enough to align the teeth properly so the gear slides in like butter. Many people think keeping a car in neutral while coasting down a steep hill saves gas. That might have been true back in the days of carbureted engines, but modern fuel-injected vehicles work completely differently. When you roll in gear with your foot off the gas, the wheels turn the engine, and the engine computer shuts off fuel injection entirely, giving you zero fuel consumption. Slipping into neutral forces the engine to burn fuel just to stay idling at 800 RPM. On top of wasting gas, coasting in neutral strips away your control, overheats your brakes, and risks damaging transmission gears if you try re-engaging at high speeds. Speaking of keeping things smooth under the hood, standard service routines often ignore the very fluid that makes gear changes possible. Engine oil gets all the attention, while manual transmission fluid gets left in the dark for years. Manufacturers love using terms like filled for life, but no lubricant lasts forever in an environment with extreme shear forces and high heat. Over thousands of miles, friction breaks down the long polymer chains in transmission oil, destroying its viscosity. Tiny metal shavings from normal gear wear float around, turning clean oil into an abrasive paste that eats away at bearings and synchros. If you want your manual gearbox to last past 200,000 miles, ignore the myth of lifetime fluid. Change it every 30,000 to 60,000 miles. If you recently bought a used truck or a four-wheel drive SUV with a towing package, changing that fluid should be the very first job on your weekend checklist. Before we dive deeper into the hidden mechanical traps that ruin manual drives, take a quick second to hit that subscribe button so you never miss our hands-on garage guides and deep dives. Another forgotten component in this entire setup is the brake fluid. In almost every modern manual car, the clutch and brake systems share the exact same fluid reservoir. The master cylinder and slave cylinder rely on clean hydraulic fluid to push the pressure plate away from the flywheel. Over time, moisture sneaks into the lines, degrading the fluid and corroding internal rubber seals. Minute bits of debris build up, causing a spongy pedal or a clutch that fails to disengage fully. Flushing your brake and clutch fluid every 2 years or 20,000 miles keeps the pedal firm and protects your entire hydraulic setup from costly failures. Many drivers make the mistake of leaving their foot resting lightly on the clutch pedal while cruising down the highway. Even the slightest pressure from your foot partially disengages the clutch disc. This micro-slippage generates intense heat between the friction material, the flywheel, and the pressure plate. That constant friction bakes the components, wearing down the disc prematurely and glazing the flywheel surface until it loses its grip entirely. When it finally comes time for a repair because of wear or slipping, many people try to cut corners. They order just a cheap clutch disc, thinking they can reuse the old pressure plate and throw out bearing to save a few bucks. Replacing only the disc while ignoring the rest of the assembly is a massive mistake. The pressure plate loses its spring tension over time, and the release bearing endures millions of rotations under heavy loads. Putting a fresh disc against a warped, heat-checked pressure plate causes uneven contact and premature failure. You will end up paying twice the labor cost just to pull the transmission back out a few months later. Do it right the first time by installing a complete clutch kit, including a new pressure plate, release bearing, and pilot bearing. If your vehicle uses a concentric slave cylinder inside the bell housing, swap that out too while everything is unbolted. Right before we unpack the single most common mistake beginners make that stalls engines and ruins clutches, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you enjoy practical car care advice that saves you money. Driving a manual smoothly requires a clear understanding of engine braking and pedal timing. Beginners often forget to depress the clutch pedal early enough when coming to a complete stop, forcing the engine RPM to drop below idle speed and causing the car to shudder and stall. As you slow down, the engine speed drops faster than the vehicle momentum. Disengaging the clutch at the right moment isolates the engine, allowing you to bring the car to a controlled stop without jerking the drivetrain or stressing the engine mounts. Taking care of a manual transmission comes down to breaking bad habits and staying ahead of routine maintenance. Treat the gear stick gently, replace your hydraulic fluids on schedule, and never skimp on hardware when replacing wear components. By giving your manual transmission the care it needs, you ensure crisp gear shifts, instant power delivery, and hundreds of thousands of trouble-free miles on the road. If you found these tips helpful, hit that subscribe button for more real-world automotive advice. Drop a comment below letting us know what manual car you drive, any shift issues you have run into, or the weirdest transmission codes you have diagnosed lately. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.